Good morning once again to all of you. Students, can you see the slide? Am I audible to you? Can anyone reply yes, sir, so that I can continue with the session?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So yesterday we were discussing about the identifying the ingredients of the success, wherein we discussed the five major ingredients. The first one was the starting point, what we called it as goal orientation. Then the second one was day-to-day execution, also the organization, initiative, and intelligence. Then very important, how we deal with the people, that is dealing with the people, wherein we discussed about the relationship building, the communication skills, and the leadership attitude. And then the fourth ingredient, the ingredient what we discussed yesterday was inner person, wherein enthusiasm, drive, and resilience should be there. And finally, some of the additional characters also we have discussed, like self development and stability. Now, today we will move ahead and majorly understand the winning candidate's profile. Now, in case of the winning candidate's profile, first we'll try to understand some of the important challenges in the interview. See, the winner's profile, please understand, consists of 12 major characteristics of some of the successful people. The key point is that certain people are going to be successful no matter what challenge they take on. That is simply because they have developed or acquired certain characteristics or a positive habits which are the key to success in any field. Right? So, as I mentioned to all of you yesterday, some of the ingredients. So, every day you all should have a schedule in your life. So, every day morning, at what time you are getting up, and at what is your entire day task, and what is your short term objective, and the medium term objective, and long term objective of life. That is very important. Okay. So, if everybody or if you guys are following a disciplined life, so probably, those are some of the key ingredients to success. So if they can bring those characteristics into the company, please understand, students, whatever you have understood or whatever you have inculcated during these days. So if you bring these characteristics into the organization which you will be joining, provided they have the fundamental knowledge and skills that are needed in the specific job under consideration, they are going to be the successful candidates. The challenge in the interview is to find out whether those characteristics are present or not. Now, what I'm telling you is, if you are sitting on the other side of the chair, like you are interviewing a candidate. Now, what are the characteristics you should be looking in order to hire that particular candidate? They provide the target of the interview, and this provides interviewer with the essential structure for the interview. Everything else, what questions to ask, what techniques to use, and when to do this and when to do that, is just means to an end. Now, some of the winning candidates profile, what we discussed was, we'll go for the different methods. In fact, the 12 special characteristics what we have discussed. The first one is what we discussed, goal orientation. So we as a person who is sitting to take the interview of a candidate, should be see in that particular candidate whether he is goal oriented, and whether what is his short term goals, what is his medium term goals, and what are the long term goals. So we need to understand from the candidate that whether he'll be sticking on in my organization for a longer period, whether what is the intention of him or her joining my organization, right? So we'll try to understand whether he is purely into career oriented, or whether he has got a hunger to learn more things, or whether he can gel up with my organization, right? So The first important characteristic what I'll be saying is whether he is goal oriented. So whether he is goal oriented. And the second important thing what I'll be seeing in a winning candidate's profile, what we discussed yesterday, is like organization, initiative, and intelligence. Please remember this. So what do you mean by organization? The interviewers, majorly you people who will be sitting on the other side, need to know that the candidate pursues his or her goals in an intelligent, disciplined, and effective manner. Planning ahead, focusing on the things that count, not getting sidetracked by things that have little chance of paying off or by details that are not critical to the central task at hand. So they need to know that the candidate works effectively and very smart. And the third important point would be initiative. Now, as we discussed yesterday, initiative means what? See, given any task, you should be in a position to come forward and take that particular task and try to complete it within the stipulated time. Right? This is a very important quality of a winner profile or a winner candidate, what you will be saying. So how you will be judging that? So the interviewers need to know that the candidate is the sort of a person who actually takes any challenges, who actually takes the initiative in any kind of given task without having to be prodded or given the go ahead. All right. So if there is one thing that winners all having is that the initiative what they'll be taking and the decision what they'll be taking, right? So suppose if you are in the team of say 20 and your team leader to whom you will be reporting, so he will be giving you all the task, right? So you should be in a position to come forward and say that, sir, let me take this forward. So that initiative should be taken by the person. Then the fourth important quality is called intelligence. See, the interviewers, that means the moment I say interviewer, that means you people, okay? The interviewers need to know that the candidate is very bright enough to think on his or her feet. Now, for this, what normally the HRs will do is they might give a puzzle, or they have a section called as reasoning, or to check the skills, analytical skills. They have aptitude, right? See how aptitude is basically, it is not to check the marks over there. It is basically to check how uniquely you think, or how differently you think, or how you see the problem. See, one small instance I want to tell all of you that there was a case which happened with one of the company which came for the recruitment. See, what they do is first round they normally go for aptitude, right? So when they give the aptitude questions to more than 250 people, it is left to the candidate whether he or she is interested to join the organization. Some of them, what they'll do, they'll be writing the aptitude test, they'll be attending the interviews only for the sake of experience, right? So for them, what they do is they take this aptitude paper. So it is a live example what I'm telling. So one of the guy took the aptitude paper, and he did not solve. He did not mark anything on the paper. Like there'll be options, right? Objective type A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D for each question, right? So he did not mark anything on the paper, but instead of that, there was a rough space which was available, and he solved the problems over there. Okay, so he attended basically just to gain the experience from that. Then after that, he had solved the problems in the rough space over there, but he did not mark on the main sheet. Then suddenly what happened when the shortlist, the list of names came who are through to the next round, okay, so his name was included by the HR manager. His name was included by the HR manager. Then we were all shocked actually. Why this guy openly came and told that, sir, I have not attended even a single question, but I have solved all the problems. It was very easy for me. Then he was even called for the PI round, that is personal interview. He told that, okay, let me give a try on that. Here also I'll get the experience of that, okay? Then he went for the interview. Then this guy, the HR who has come, so he opened his answer sheet and showed, see, you have solved all the problems correctly, but why you have not marked? We want you in our organization because the way you have solved all the problems in a given time, we liked the way you have cracked this particular thing. But what made you not to answer or mark it on the main sheet? Then he replied, sir, I'm not interested. Basically to start working now, I want to pursue my higher studies. Right? I have some other plans for that. See, why I gave you this example was when you go for the recruitment, you can encounter such cases wherein the bright students or the talented students. So you need to motivate them to join your organization. See, remember, students, if you hire a right candidate with the right skill, with the right attitude, with the right culture, then automatically what happens? The productivity of your organization only increases, right? And if the productivity increases, what happens? The revenue increases. If the revenue increases, then the profit increases. Then the profit increases, then automatically it will be the company's growth will be there. Correct? So you people should be very, very wiser when it comes to the recruitment of even single candidate. Okay, so that is what is the second thing what I discussed: organization, initiative, and intelligence. Then the third very important thing, or the fifth quality, is relationship building. So the fifth quality that the interviewers are going to be looking for is the relationship building. So they need to know that the candidate is the sort of a person who builds good relationship with the people and is always a good team player who can establish a rapport quickly and readily in initial encounters, and can bridge the gap that so often separates departments and functions, and will be an asset always to the organization. Let me see if anyone is waiting here. Okay, nobody. Yeah, we'll continue. Right? Then the sixth quality is the communication skills. See, everyone nowadays should be a good communicator. I always feel, see, even though you might be creative, even though you might be very intelligent, you might be very smart, but if you cannot communicate, or if you fail to communicate your ideas to your higher ups or to your friends or to your parents, then probably you see a failure, right? So always remember, a good communicator conveys the correct information to the people around him, and winners are especially good at it. Please remember this: winners are very good in conveying the information, a correct information, a genuine information at it. They convey information effectively. They're able to communicate ideas and concepts as well. They speak well, and they recognize all important fact that the communication is something that happens in the minds and hearts of the audience, not the words of the speaker. The seventh factor is what? The leadership. Now, the interviewers, that means you guys, need to know that the candidate is confident and assertive enough to move our discussion along and make sure that the certain key points are covered. There are few, if any, jobs these days in which the leadership factor does not set the truly successful performer, the winner, apart from their peers. Now, a good leader will always take the good initiative, good decision. Right. So yesterday we gave a lot of examples, right? So when success happens, always many will come and say it is because of me. But when failure happens, nobody will come and stand. It is telling that it is because of me, right? So everybody will start blaming on each other. But what the leader will do, he will do exactly, reverse of that. When failure happens, he will say, okay, it is because of me. But when success happens, he will say it is because of my team, right? So that should be one of the ingredient of a winning candidate's profile. Then the next point what we discussed was inner person, that is also called as enthusiasm. See, it is not just enough to be enthusiastic. It has to be a vibrant Then visible quality that other people can see. Then we even discussed about the drive, that is the ninth factor. The interviewers need to know that the candidate is the sort of a person who aims high, who does not settle for average. They need to hire outstanding people. And outstanding people are nothing but they are winners. They achieve outstanding results in large part because they are determined to achieve outstanding results. Then resilience, the 10th factor. The interviewers need to know that the candidate is someone who can rebound quickly following a setback, who does not dwell on things, and who has a thick skin. This is simply because truly a successful performance in any field is never so easy, students. And even please understand this, results, they do not come quickly, and they do not come without requiring that they deal with a lot of obstacles, hurdles, problems, and even frustrations along the way. Then additional characteristics what we discussed was what? That is self-development and stability. Now when I spoke about the self-development, students, yesterday, the 11th factor, that was self-development, interviewers need to know that the candidate is someone who practices continuous learning. Good people are always learning, always working on their own effectiveness, and always searching for ways to put their talents to optimal use and maximize the results that they achieve. And what do you mean by this stability? That is the last, that is 12th special characteristics, that is called as stability. That means consistency should be there in your performance. Continuity should be there in your performance. That is the 12th factor, which is stability. A winner who joins in the month of November and leaves in the month of December, that means what message you are giving to the company to which you are planning to join. That means your consistency is only 1 month. So before joining any organization, you should think twice or thrice and do a proper research of that. And when once you join the organization, you should be in a position to continue your job consistently in terms of your performance, in terms of your continuity in the organization, right? So when you go for hiring, you need to know that the candidate will stay with the organization long enough to repay the considerable investment that both the interviewers and the company will be making in his or her success. The interviewers cannot afford to hire good people and then have them leave after only a year or a year and a half on the job. So these all points, what we discussed yesterday was the winning candidate's profile. So now what we'll do is quickly, what all things we have discussed in Unit 5, I will be doing a quick revision of that. I request all of you to be highly attentive so that whatever concepts we have discussed so far, I'll be briefing on that, doing a quick revision of the things. Now, from where we have started this, we first understood that is screening the candidates. Now here, what we understood was, in the first part, we understood the meaning and concept of selection, right? So what is selection? Selection refers to a process in which individuals are picked up from the pool of job applicants, possessing the required knowledge and skills for the job to be performed in an organization. Then selection is also a process which includes various phases, such as exploring the applicants in order to check whether they are suitable for the job or not, picking up the right ones from the pool of applicants and eliminating the rest. So therefore, selection can be regarded as a negative process in its application, as its main aim is to reject as many unsuitable individuals as possible, so as to get the right and the appropriate candidates for the organization. Now, what are the objectives of selection? What we have discussed in the earlier class, selects the suitable candidate, then verifies applicants' capabilities, then places the right candidate at the right job with the right skill, with the right knowledge, with the right culture, so that this culture can be matching with my organization culture, or the candidate whom you are hiring should be blending with the team. You should not quarrel with the team over there. You should be one among them. You should be a good team worker, right? Then generates information about the candidate. Now selection, how, what is this generates information about the candidate? Selection also helps in extracting the information regarding the candidate with a view to compare him with other candidates in order to reach a correct decision. Then selection obviously saves the cost. Why? Because the match between the right candidate and the job requirement is very crucial in order to enhance the employee's work performance. Any mismatch in this respect can result in high loss to the organization. When I say high loss, it can be in terms of money, or it can be in terms of time, or any other factors such as cost of training and cost of operating, right? Then we even understood the process of selection, right? So what we are studying now, we are just doing a quick revision of unit 5, the concepts whatever we have discussed in this particular unit. Okay, so in that we will be studying process of selection. So selection methods determine whether or not the qualification of a job applicant are in accordance with the job requirements. The methods of selection evaluate the performance of the job applicants. The selection process majorly consists of various barriers or stages. Now, students, this can be a very important question also, like explain the various process of selection, right? So first, what happens? You need not by heart the things, understand this. First, screening of applicants will happen. Then based on that, in step 2, what happens? Selection test. That means here in the second process, every organization has its own rules for the selection process to generate the required information about the candidate or to reject the candidate who are not qualified for the interview. So generally what happens? The selection tests support the information provided by the applicants in the application forms. Correct? Then the third the third step is called selection interviews. Selection interviews. So selection tests are followed by a personal interview with the candidate. Here in the third step in the process of selection. Now the main purpose of a personal interview is to fully evaluate the candidate for the job. It also gives a chance to the candidate to gain all the information about the organization. Then comes, if required, the medical examination. See, medical examination, why it is performed? It is performed in order to observe the candidate's endurance or tolerance level under pressure, as there are several jobs which require a lot of patience. It even identifies the deficiencies of a selective and a qualitative placement for a positive cause and not for the rejection only. And even a medical examination students is performed to place the right candidate at the right job where they can function without any kind of ill effect or loss to their health. It is generally performed by the organization's own physician or a medical officer authorized by the organization, right? Then very important phase, that is the reference check and the background verification. See, selection procedure includes this step of a reference check and background verification for the purpose of bringing out more information regarding the candidate. See, majorly in India, what happens is references are not supposed to be much of importance, but nowadays it is very important. Each and every organization are doing a reference check. Why? Because they're important source of valuable information which cannot be obtained from any other source about a selected candidate. Then hiring decisions. Then recruitment and selection, we majorly understood the difference between the recruitment and selection. So these are the parameters on which we can differentiate between recruitment and selection, which we had discussed, like sequence, objective, then process, methods, service contract, and result. Now, recruitment, as you all know, is always conducted before the selection process. Please understand this, students. recruitment is always conducted before the selection process. Okay, selection is always conducted post recruitment process. The main objective of recruitment is what? Is to attract maximum number of potential applicants in order to get a large application pool, right? Whereas the main objective of selection is what? To choose the best suitable candidate from the applicant pool. Students, I will ask you a question now. I want some of you to answer. Now, in recruitment and selection, which is considered as a positive process and which is considered as a negative process? Yeah. In recruitment and selection, which is considered as a positive process and which is considered as a negative process? Anybody? Positive and negative process. Hello, students. Some of you are sleeping. Divya Patil.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Can you tell me positive process among them? Recruitment is negative process or positive process?
Positive process, sir.
And how about selection? Selection is a negative process, huh?
No, sir, it is also positive process.
Oh my God. Okay. Then you have not understood only. Okay. Anybody?
Sir, good
Bharat?
morning.
Yeah, good morning,
Yes, sir.
Bharat. Tell me.
Sir, recruitment is an positive process and selection is a negative process.
Very good, Bharat. Can you justify, Bharat?
Sir,
In your own,
recruitment
tell me, Bharat.
sir, recruitment it is proceed to selection
Okay.
and selection is follows the recruitment.
Okay. Bharat, you told perfect, but the thing is justification was not correct. Okay. Please understand now. Selection can be regarded as a negative process as its main aim is to reject as many unsuitable individuals as possible. Correct? What Bharat told was perfect. Selection is always considered as a negative process. Divya, you should concentrate.
Ha, sir. Okay, sir.
Whereas recruitment, what happens in recruitment? It is always 1 minute, students. Okay. Selection is always conducted after the recruitment process, right? But the main objective of this selection is to choose the best suitable candidate from the applicant pool. See, always remember, students, selection is a negative process. Only reason is what? In selection, what happens? The main aim is to reject as many as unsuitable individuals as possible so as to get the right and the appropriate candidates for the organization. Okay? You have to remember this. Next, screening the candidates. See, when once the pools of applications have been received, the next step is screening of application or shortlisting of applicants. Now, what happens here? The key aim in shortlisting should be to draw up a manageable list of candidates for the interview for a specified post, all of whom could potentially do the job in terms of qualifications and experience outlined in their job application form. It is important that shortlisting is done against the criteria set out on the person specification. Then even we understood the principles of screening the applicants, that is be objective, then equality and diversity, then fairness should be there. Very, very important. See, recruiter should endeavor to be as fair as possible. If there is a conflict of interest or potential nepotism, he should avoid involvement in the recruitment process. However, there are times when, in particular, conflict of interest is unavoidable. In such cases, panel members should declare their position and during assessment of candidates known to them, allow other panel members to assess first before stating an opinion. Then finally, recruitment experience. Then students, by this time, I think all of you have understood the techniques, that is screening applications. So first we discussed about application forms, then majorly we understood about the resume, and we now by this time we can differentiate clearly between application forms, a resume, biodata and CV. So majorly what are these application forms, students? Application forms or application blanks are used to gain the basic details about the candidate. It helps to identify the candidate's interest areas that prove to be of great help in discussion during the interview. Then what about this biodata? Biodata is a term used to refer to any type of personal history, experience, or education information. Some organizations, they use a biographical information like questionnaire instead of or in addition to the usual application blank. So biodata questionnaires may be much more detailed than the application blanks and may be scored with the key based on very sophisticated statistical analysis. Then we understood about the resume. See, what is that resume which you all have prepared? Resume is a 1 or 2 page document that candidates use to highlight their qualification, skill, and work experience while applying for a job. So all the relevant information about an individual can be found in this resume. So practically what we say, it is nothing but it is a marketing as well as branding tool of an individual to make recruiters aware of him or her. It represents the individual to the future employers or the colleagues in the same fashion as he or she expects, right? Then we spoke about, then we discussed about the parts of resume, right, students? Parts of resume like heading, career objective, education, then special skills, achievements or accomplishments, then position short, then professional summary, and if a candidate has got any interest or activities or references, very important. Then we even discussed about the different formats of resume, that is chronological resume, functional resume, and combination resume. Then we understood about curriculum vitae, that is popularly called as CV. The word curriculum vitae, which simply means what? The list of life. Its abbreviation form is what? CV. It is an important document that has almost all the vital details of the candidate, such as his or her biographical, academic and professional details combined with his or her work experience, if any. Hence, it is an essential tool in job seekers' hand. So when a candidate applies for a job, he or she submits his or her CV along with an application or a cover letter to the HR department of the company. While making a CV up to date, a job seeker must visualize the employer's viewpoint. The candidate should focus upon how his or her CV would look different and what new and existing details should be highlighted on priority basis that would make a good influence on the employer. See, generally what happens, both CV and resume are understood as one and are used interchangeably. However, please understand this, students, there is a slight difference between a CV and a resume. So a CV is a detailed document regarding one's qualification, work experience, professional skills, special achievements such as any publication of research papers. While resume is what? Is a short form of such details. Hence, accommodating numerous details will require at least 2 to 3 pages, and that is how a CV is formed. Then we discussed about each one of them, designing of application forms, then types of application forms, advantages of biodata, advantages of resume parts, then CV, designing of CV, then WAB, that is called as weighted application blanks. See, weighted application blanks is is the best known techniques for identifying the factors that differentiate between the successful and the less successful employees. It involves first selecting an employee characteristic to be measured. So identifying which questions predict the desired employee behavior, determining the question's relative predictive power, and assigning the weighted values to each relevant question, and scoring each applicant's completed job application form according to the scoring key developed. Then we even understood about spotting personality patterns, wherein we understood the three making basic assumptions. There are three basic assumptions. The first one was, there are patterns in people behavior. Then they can be seen in past performance. Then they will be there in the future. Then targeted interviewing, focusing on the behavior, and we discussed about identifying the ingredients of success. So wherein we even discussed the goal orientation, which was called as the starting point, and then day-to-day execution, wherein we had organization, initiative, and intelligence, and dealing with the people, that is relationship building, communication skills, and leadership. Then inner person, we discussed about enthusiasm, drive, and resilience, and additional characteristics, self-development, and stability. So this was the unit. It is one of the biggest unit what we have. And in my next session, I'll be taking you to reference checking and appointment orders. Well, as on today, I will end the session. I hope all of you have enjoyed today's sessions and understood today's session. So any other queries you have, you can ask me. Students, any other queries you have related to the things what we have discussed, you can please ask me. Okay, I'll end today's session here. The same thing will be uploaded by the end of the day, and the link will be shared to your respective email ID. So thank you so much for your patience listening to all of you. You can exit from the meeting, students.